radiating from the Lone Star State and stretching from coast to coast and border to border. This is OnRadio, the weekly download from your family of companies: CMS Wireless, Enertech, ET Tower, Legacy, and Mountain Wireless. Welcome to OnRadio.
OnRadio Wireless folks, hey, welcome back to the podcast. And we are, we got such a treat for you today because we get to do a little bit of talking to somebody who's actually been there, done that. He not only has the t-shirt, he's got the uniforms to prove it. Noah Deere knows a lot about a ton of stuff, and he's our guest today because he served as a U.S. Army sniper and spent like 4 years doing that. And then he spent 6 years climbing towers and was actually really good at that when you could kind of control him, but that's still questionable. And then, but he spent the last 15 years enforcing the law, but he's not just been a law enforcement guy. He's been a urban city police officer. He has been a sergeant. He's been an undercover detective and now serves as a detective in an urban, unnamed police department that's like top secret, so we can't even tell you about it. Noah, hey man, welcome to the podcast. We are so thrilled you're here.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So it's been a long time since you've been up on a tower. Are you still physically fit or capable, or what's the deal?
Well, I'm still physical. I don't know about fit, but I'm still physically here.
Yeah.
I could probably climb a tower, and it's probably it'd probably take me a lot longer than normal, or I would have. But I mean, I am 15 years older, so
yeah, sweet. Well, we're people are probably like, what is Tracy thinking putting a top on the program? And I use that term affectionately, but there's a lot that has changed in our industry. We have, number one, so you probably don't know this, but the towers are a lot busier. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more antennas. There's a lot more there's more levels to them. There's more stuff. And we used to do, when you were there, you were kind of one of our night ops specialists. We don't do a lot of night ops anymore, especially on tower stuff. But there's also more work. I mean, we've got upgrades that are, folks are still, they're working off 5G, or they're working off 4G. We're laying out 5G and we're thinking about 6G right now. So, but our sites, and this is one of the things that we're going to talk about, are nastier. We have urban rooftops where the rent is low. And because of that, they're in neighborhoods that, and frankly, are pretty sketchy. And so there's some ways it hasn't changed. They still need it now. Sites still require immediate response. You remember that, like your 1 hour response time is like a little too long. And there's some tyranny of the urgent, and but there's also lots of windshield time. And we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. But first, I'm going to go back to your years as a tower guy and have you talk about your experiences, because a lot of these folks are new to the industry who listen to the podcast. Tell them about your experience as a tower guy.
I'd say the night ops. I remember we had hats on the back that said night ops, and it was kind of a thing of pride that there was the night crew that kind of went out and fixed everybody's problems while everybody slept, and there was a little bit of pride in that. And just, I think the biggest takeaway I had from working in the industry is the camaraderie you build with the people you work with and the people that you go through the hard times, go through the scary times with. You truly do make lifelong friends. And I've been out of the industry for 15 years now, but there's a T-Mobile tech that I ran into at a law enforcement police ball. And we caught up and we talked, and that just friendship and that kind of work relationship that's built and flourishes into something new is something that, you just take everywhere. I do remember
like the military in terms of team building and going through hard times, or the police department.
Yeah, very much so. Like just in comparison with kind of my experience in the military, my experience as a police officer now, my experiences on our SWAT team. I've been on our SWAT team for 10 years now. That camaraderie that you build with the group of guys that you're going through situations with, regardless of what they are, and working together as a team to kind of reach a common goal. Yeah, that's very, very, very similar to kind of what's going on now. And my radio's going off, so
no worries.
Should I turn it? I'm going to turn it down real quick.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, man. So one of the things that really forces it way to the front when you talk like that is that this team ball is really the result of two people who agree to go for a goal, and that maybe even a crew, but really you're sandwiched with somebody until you train them up and they start their own crew, and you've launched a lot of careers, just so you know.
That's good. And I'll say the same to you. A lot of the leadership I have now, I've been our sniper team leader for, I don't know how long now, but, I had that, same sort of leadership that came from when I was working at Legacy with you and Bob and Leif and Ryan. Like, you guys kind of molded me into the leader I am now.
All right. Sorry about that, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Give or take, some people don't like it, some people do, but it is what it is, and I feel like I'm better for it.
All right, sounds good. Well, a couple of things really jump to the forefront. Some things, like I say, have not changed at all, and so traffic is worse. But the problems of traffic have not really gotten any worse because we're still working long hours. We got drivers who are fatigued. You go out, you drive for a long time, they work at site for a long time, and you drive home, and the last 4 blocks is the toughest 4 blocks of your life. But how do you? Ryan helped me out. He said, if you're getting too tired, you hold your wallet out the window.
Hold your wallet out the window.
You will not fall asleep.
Yeah.
But in
it works. I've done it. It works.
It does.
Yes.
It does. But in your experience, on the traffic side of things, how would you handle a fatigue driver? Somebody says, "Hey, I'm just too tired."
Fatigue driving.
Yeah.
If you can pull over, and then another kind of. So I had an incident actually. I think before Legacy, when I was getting out of the military, where I fell asleep while I was driving on 16.
Oh, wow.
I woke up to me going backwards through the median over into the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
After that one incident, I never fell asleep again. So I think maybe I'm a special case. Like, God said, "Hey, dummy, wake up." Literally.
Yeah. I'm not going to kill you today.
Yeah, I'm not going to kill you today, but hey, like, I could have. But I think as far as the fatigue driving goes is, one, just making sure that first you're getting enough rest before you go. And I know with tower work, there are some like really, really, really long days.
Yeah.
And there's some long traffic. And I think the biggest part is because you're kind of driving back to the shop with a crew. So it's kind of easier to stay awake. The hard part is...
As long as those knuckleheads in the passenger seat are staying awake. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If he falls asleep, you just tweak his ear.
Yeah. Or you like hit the brakes a little bit and start screaming, and then they're all awake for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the hardest part was going from the shop home by yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I would say, and if you could call somebody and talk to them, I know that when we had really long SWAT missions, I had my best friend who just recently moved to Arizona. After every mission, we would just talk on the way home, like a phone call while we're driving.
Very cool. Very cool. Good counsel. So, in your time, again, as a street cop, it's literally a traffic cop. Did you ever see anybody get into these road rage incidents? Because people are getting a little crazy out there now, and road rage is more common than it was. How would you counsel our guys to handle that?
Yeah, we are seeing the road rage incidents happen a lot here in Washington. Obviously, there's certain legislation that was passed a few years ago that kind of emboldened kind of criminals to be criminals.
Oh, wow.
And you can't really. There's certain things that we can't do that we once were able to, like I don't know, chase stolen cars or certain things. But I think with that, you're going to see a rise in, criminals being criminals, and the road rage is definitely something that we've seen spikes in.
Right. So I'm driving down the freeway, and this guy, for I don't know why, goes crazy on me and starts to. I mean, how do you de-escalate when you're in a vehicle?
You could slow down, let them pass, just kind of separate yourself from that situation. I know a lot of times we think every driver thinks they're in the right. Like regardless, there's never a time where you're driving and you're like, oh, I just cut that guy off, I'm sorry. I mean, well, occasionally there's these these revelations of, self-guilt.
If they act like they're a perfect driver, we need to talk to their wife.
Yeah. Right. I think too, and this goes kind of outside tower work and outside police work, is kind of just being forgiving and having compassion for humans. Like
be a good person.
I don't know this person's situation. Maybe he cut me off for a reason. Like, just the benefit of the doubt actually goes a really long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not so worried about our guys. I mean, they're in such big, heavy trucks. People don't really usually, we don't cut people off as much as we get cut off. So, but there's, speaking of heavy loads and large equipment, folks, watch your braking distance. Give a gap, right?
Yeah.
Leave a lot of room between you and the car in front of you. So, you've had a lot of experience where you've pulled people over for any given reason. So I'm driving down the road and I'm a tower guy, and you saw something that I don't know and you pulled me over. How should I respond to a police officer? I mean, other than what's the obvious way to make you feel like I'm a good guy instead of a bad guy?
I think just getting back to kind of what I just kind of talked about is just compassion for human. I don't think there's any intent with most police officers, pulling people over. A lot of the time, it's educational. It's, hey, this is your straps coming off, or hey, your blinkers out, or defective equipment, or something along those lines. I think the only time that it's more enforcement is like the state officers, because that's kind of what they are. They're a state enforcement agency. They're patrolling the freeways and the highways and keeping them safe for everybody. So yeah, I would say just be a person, just be normal, just be courteous, just be respectful. And if we as humans did that every day, man.
Yeah. So I was told once, get your both hands on the steering wheel, and with your fingers a little extended so they can see that there's no ill intent and that kind of stuff. Is that accurate?
Yeah. If you just have your hands,
roll your window.
Yep. Roll down your window, have your hands visible, and then just, kind of wait for instruction from there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And be a nice person.
Super easy. Be a nice person. If you're having a bad day and you decide to take it out on me, that's okay too. I'm not, I didn't go, at least that's with me.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So, some of the things that are risks that we face are as the cells get smaller, the frequency of cells gets more. And so we get in some really bad neighborhoods. And in those bad neighborhoods, we have to be, and this is going to come up later, but we have to be very situationally aware. keeping our eyes peeled before we get to a site's a big deal. But in your experience, I mean, what does a bad guy look like? I mean, in an urban environment, especially, but there's some places that are lonely too, where there's nobody around, and if you do find somebody, he may not be happy with you, or she may not be happy with you. But what does a bad guy look like? I mean,
yeah, I don't
see a lot more of them now than we have.
Yeah, I don't think we can really kind of say like, you know, what a criminal looks like or what the intent of somebody is. Just, I think, I mean, there's certain behaviors that we can look out for.
Okay.
If you see a person kind of looking through car windows, an obvious in a number of car windows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain behaviors that we could look for. I guess it's all very situational dependent too.
Yeah.
Like if we go to a grocery store, or if you're stopped to get lunch and you're at a grocery store, and you know there's certain behaviors that people can exhibit that would kind of indicate that they're up to something.
Uh-huh. Like if someone looks like they're up to no good, they're probably up to no good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, in this kind of, if it looks like something's wrong, then there's probably a good chance that something might be wrong.
Yeah.